but it's just there's just a lot of great stuff out there that will help you be a better person and do a better job. This year we read a book that was kind of a Jules Verne book. This is a physicist who takes everything that's already invented at the beginning of this century and walks it out 30, 70, and 100 years. You know, he even talks about real estate. He talks about wealth. He talks about dating. I mean, it's a fascinating look at where the world is headed. The Signal and the Noise by Nate Silver. He was a New York Times blogger who predicted accurately all 50 states in the election last year. So when everyone else was saying it was too close to call, Nate was saying, no, it's not. Here's how I did it. Hello. And then this one is by, the new Geography of Jobs was really terrific. It's by an economist at Berkeley, who's the youngest chaired economist they've ever had. And you can kind of see it's the United States with kind of areas highlighted. So he really talks about why jobs grow where they grow. What is it going to take to bring Flint, Michigan back, for example? And one of the members of the committee that read it called me and said, Leslie, this is such a great book. It's really a book about real estate. And it really is. So in the introduction, he talks about a young family in 1969 that lives in Menlo Park and is trying to decide whether to raise their family and stay in Menlo Park or move to Visalia. And does anyone here know where Visalia is? Okay. I mean, you know, in 1969, there really wasn't Silicon Valley yet, you know, and Visalia had a lot of things to offer. So it's just interesting, even in all of our lifetimes, there's been just a big shift in that kind of stuff. We also read Team of Rivals because the political environment in Washington is getting really, really dicey. We read Lean In, which I recommend to everybody, male, female, young, old. It's a really fabulous book in my opinion. And then we're currently reading Act of Congress, which essentially starts where Too Big to Fail stopped, and it's about Dodd-Frank. It's about that piece of legislation that will be impacting all of us starting in January, right, with qualified mortgage, the whole thing. How did that piece of legislation get, you know, evolve in Congress? And it's pretty interesting. It's kind of depressing, I'll warn you, but so anyway, we're slow recovery. We're expecting the Fed to at least continue to talk about tapering off this fall, but they certainly will start to do something, I think, substantive by January, but maybe sooner. There's all kinds of wild cards that we could be talking about. But I do think the secondary mortgage market, you know, we talk a lot about the mortgage interest deduction, and we should, I guess. But if you can't get a mortgage, you're not going to need an MID, right? And we've got, 83% of the loans originated today are bought by Fannie and Freddie. You know, they really are the secondary market. So in order to, you know, transition, whatever it's going to look like, something's going to happen. I don't know how many of you saw Ken Harney's article in Sunday's, it was in the LA Times, I think he's syndicated. But he's trying to do the math, you know, and looking at all the money that Fannie and Freddie are giving to the government today. And they should have paid everything back by the end of next year at the very, very latest, and yet we're getting rid of them, you know? And is that really going to be the right thing to do? How should it look? Should there be an implicit government guarantee, backstop? There's no answers. I mean, nobody knows what's going to come out of all this, but I guarantee you it is going to be the #1 force in terms of determining the cost of capital for any of your buyers that need to take out a loan in the future. It's really a big deal. Distressed market is disappearing. Inventory will grow. Real estate is local. Use the aggregate statistics to, you know, boy, did you see NAR's press release? Let me tell you what's happening in Hancock Park. Talk about communication, manage expectations, audit your website, you know, and Google yourself, make sure everything looks really good. And these are just a couple of things that are important, but I think #4 is really the most important. important. And I have an exercise for you to do. Tomorrow, take a walk with your cell phone. And the next day, take a walk without your cell phone. And I guarantee you, no one in your family will be bleeding on the sidewalk when you get home. But it's just mentally a very different experience, you know? So I know if I were doing what you were doing and I met with a client, I'd try to leave my phone in the car or something so I could just really give them the one currency that is the most expensive thing, which is our attention, right? Just really, really, really listen. So life is short, love what you do or do something else. And I say kudos to all of you guys here. I mean, this is a beautiful office. It has very positive energy. You've got a great mix of people. So really, congratulations. I'm very, very, very impressed. This is what the market data area of CAR looks like. These are speeches and presentations. So at any time you need a data point or a slide, you can go in there and pull something down. We also have a page on Facebook page where we post daily data, information, studies, anything like that. So just as kind of a resource. So anyway, that's all I got.
Questions?
Absolutely.
So regarding that in the discussions that they've been having about reducing the cap on mortgage interest deduction from the $1 million maybe lower, where do you think that's going?
You know, I obviously don't know. There's a couple of proposals that were floated during the election. So one of them was reducing the overall cap. I think more, and it could go from $1 million to $750, something like that. So that's one thing they could do. Another thing they could do is just carve out second homes and say second homes don't get it at all. The other thing that seemed to get a certain amount of traction was just capping overall deductions and saying, we don't care where they come from, but you've got, I think it started at 50 and ended at 25. So whatever the number is, I would bet that it will get hit in some way just because it's such an attractive target. I know, speaking for organized real estate, we will do everything we possibly can, including busing everybody to Washington to make sure that doesn't happen. But it certainly is something that will be on the table. And you know, we've had a resolution floating on Capitol Hill for the last 3 or 4 years. And we've had more than half of the California congressional delegation sign it. It essentially says, we support the MID as it is, don't change it. The one guy, I'm not going to remember his name right now, but he's on the budget committee, said I can't sign it because if I take that off the table, my peers are going to take their thing off the table, and pretty soon nothing is going to be on the table. So that's the issue there. So stay tuned, right? Stay tuned, and we'll see how that goes. Luckily, the economy's doing better. We're getting more revenue, so things aren't quite as urgent as they looked a year ago. Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions for Leslie? No? Okay. Mom? No? Okay.
Thank you.
You jump.
wait for the CR calendar to happen, but I'm right here. I'm right here. It's not a big deal. Thank you so much, and everything is just so wonderfully. Yeah, I know. It's great.
He talks about you at lunch.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Really, thank you.
Nice to see you. I know a zillion times, right? Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Did you find your phone? I did. Thank you. I'm all good. Good. All right.
Do you need anything?
Everything else? Yeah, realtor.org, yeah. For what? Sorry. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what. Yeah. Does it have to do with forms or something, or? And you have your license, right? Yeah. I don't know. I know. Right. Yeah. This town. Yeah, this town. Thanks so much. It was really good to see you. I appreciate the lunch and the whole thing. It was lovely. It's so and then I took one.
Thanks for watching. I don't know how to stop it.